What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of my Madden 25 Oilers franchise. And this episode, we are going to be strictly talking about the first Season 1 draft. And if you aren't aware, this is all the players from the Season 1 draft are from my Carolina Atlantic Drakes Dynasty on NCAA 14, so check that out if you haven't already. But we're going to be looking at what players our team chooses, of course, and we're also going to be looking at some of the other players that the other teams around the league are choosing in the first and second round. So we have the draft started, and the Jaguars are going to be picking first. So with the first pick, the Jaguars select quarterback Lance Anderson from Georgia, and this is pretty surprising to me. He only had 1 year starting at Georgia. A pretty decent year, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. But he's 5'11", 196, so probably trying to get one of these short, fast quarterbacks that are in the NFL nowadays. But with the second pick, the Rams select Jerome Minor, a linebacker from Alabama. He has 50 tackles in his career, 54 tackles in his career with 6 sacks, so probably more of a coverage guy, but with 8 deflections. I guess they're hoping he's going to be coming away with a few interceptions. And now on to the Dolphins pick at number 3. They're going to select Casey Hamm, the second linebacker off the board. He has 8 sacks in his career with 90 assisted tackles, and he also has a bunch of deflections, but no interceptions, so that's kind of interesting. Now the Giants are going to select John Hartman, the quarterback from Georgia Southern. We played against him in year number 1. That's sort of the point of this series. We're seeing what these players do, but 46 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in his final year. I guess he was overlooked a little bit because he went to a smaller school, but I definitely think that's a better selection than Lance Anderson at number 1 overall. Now the Vikings select Lorenzo Washington, the left end from Alabama, so second Alabama player in the top 5 picks. He has 10.5 sacks in his career with a few tackles, looking for him to be a pass rusher for them. Steven Charles, the first defensive player off the board, goes to the Colts, and he has 11 interceptions in his career. Buccaneers are up next. They're going to select linebacker Chris Gray from Georgia Southern, so we played against him. Don't really remember him from our game, but then we have Jay Long, the safety from Michigan. Looks like he was a 4-year starter at Michigan, so Cardo's getting an experienced safety there. Next up is the Steelers pick, and they are going to select Paul Mace, the free safety from Louisiana Lafayette, the Ragin' Cajuns. Up next is Jesse Parsons, the quarterback, going to the Browns. He's the quarterback at Marshall. Looks like he had 2 decent years as a starter. Looks like he may have got hurt in his junior year, but the Browns definitely looking for a quarterback in this game. I don't even remember who they have at this point, but next up, we have Justin Dixon, the wide receiver, going to the Detroit Lions. But next up, the Rams get a second first-round pick. They're going to select Kevin Hall, the quarterback from Florida State, who we faced in the last game of our Drakes series. Looks like he had 2 years as a starter and may have gotten hurt in his senior year, but he's 6'5", 196, and he will probably be the Rams' starting quarterback. So on to the next picks. With the 13th pick, the Bucs select Jonathan Howell, a right end from UNC. With the 14th pick, the Titans select Jermaine Dykes, the quarterback from Florida. And already here we have a bunch of quarterbacks off the board, so it'll be interesting to see how these guys progress. I think some of them are going to be instant starters, some of them are probably not. So we'll have to see how these storylines play out. But Jermaine Dykes was a 2-year starter at Florida. And now on the next picks, the Raiders select Derek Harris, a linebacker from Notre Dame. And then with the next pick, the Jets select Eric Weaver, a safety from Penn State with only 60 tackles in his career. Next pick is Derek Williams to the Falcons from San Diego State. And he was hurt at the end of his senior year. Looks like he had a few forced fumbles. Now our first running back is off the board. At number 18, the 49ers select Will Patton, the Georgia Southern running back. I think he had over 200 yards in our game that we played against him, but only 4 touchdowns in his career. So 49ers are definitely looking for upside with that pick. But the Patriots select a tight end in the first round at 19, Nick Luke. Had a really good junior year, but His senior year might have also been with injury. At 20, the Seahawks select Chris Walker, a linebacker from Mississippi State. 144 tackles in his career. Looks like he was a 4-year starter at Mississippi State. He will be joining the Seahawks, looking to improve their defense. Luke Stanley is selected at pick 21 by the Ravens. He played at Oklahoma. Not really any accolades for him, but 9 sacks in his career. I think as time goes on, these players will have more stats in future draft classes. But here is Reggie Wilson, the quarterback from UCLA, going to the Texans. So he will probably be a week 1 starter. Not a great junior season, but turned it around in his senior season to put up some pretty decent numbers. Now the Cowboys at pick 23 select Joe White, the guard. We played him in week number 1 in our Drake's series, and he had like 9 pancake blocks against us. He absolutely dominated in that game at the lineman position. And I think that was actually the first lineman off the board. And now we have the first wide receiver off the board. Sean Porter goes to the Saints at pick 24. He is from Alabama, 5 touchdowns, and only 500 yards in his senior year. So the stats on these players are a little weird, but again, I think it's going to improve over time. Now we have the second lineman going off the board, Matt Clay, a guard from Rutgers. Looks like he was a 4-year starter there. And now we're on to the Packers pick at 26. They're going to select Jonathan Simmons, the tight end from Notre Dame. So we played against him. I don't think we saw him in our game, or I don't really remember. But they will. Then again, every single team we played against in year number 1 really didn't need to pass the ball. But now we're on to the Bills pick at 27. Joe Cleveland, a left end from Arkansas. Only 1 year as a starter for him. Or only 1 year of playing time, really. He didn't even play. Actually, that's from 2015, so that's like his freshman season. He didn't even play his sophomore or junior year, so that's kind of weird. Now the Seahawks with another pick in the first round. A lot of teams with 2 first-round picks in this first draft. They're going to go Bobby Hall, the tight end from Penn State. 11 touchdowns and 1,000 yards in his career. Didn't quite reach the 100-catch mark. Now we're on to the Panthers pick at 29. Michael Beck, the safety from Michigan State. He had 4 tackles in his final year. Yeah, the stats are a little weird on this, but should see it improve in the future. Now, the Chiefs select a guard from Syracuse, Mike Jackson. Not a lot to talk about stats-wise for him, but now we can move on to pick number 31, which is going to be by the Falcons. They're going to select the first tackle taken in this draft, Vincent Whitaker from Ole Miss. And at pick 32, the Chargers, with the last pick in the first round, are going to select another tight end, Josh or Smith. So I think that's the 3rd tight end off the board in the first round. 11 touchdowns and 1,100 yards for him at LSU. And now we can get into the second round. Probably going to go a little faster for this one, but we're still going to cover all the players in the second round. Doug Carter goes off the board. A linebacker goes to the Jaguars. And now with the second pick, the Rams are going to select Edward Blunt, a safety. With the third pick, the Dolphins select Mark Miles, a wide receiver from Notre Dame, only the 2nd wide receiver off the board, so not a good class for wide receivers this year. With the 4th pick, the Giants select Spencer Wilson, a linebacker. With the 5th pick in the second round, the Eagles select Drew Fulton, the quarterback from Michigan, so we'll have to see if he becomes a starter at some point in the future. Pick number 5 is a center going to the Colts, Steve Gaines. At pick number 7 is Rasheed Jackson to the Steelers. And then at pick 8, we have Chad Moore, the quarterback from Oklahoma, going here. I believe he was the highest rated quarterback in NCAA. And he falls here to the second round. So kind of interesting how the game determines that. Pick number 9 goes to the Steelers, Eric Rodgers, the tight end, and then a punter taken in the second round. This game's draft logic isn't very good, but Kevin Grant, the highest punter taken probably a very long time, goes to the Browns. We'll have to see his overall. Pick number 11 goes to the Lions. It is Mike Robinson, a linebacker, and then now we are on the clock again. Actually, this is our first pick, actually. I don't know why I said again, because we did not have a first-round pick. I believe that's still from the RG3 trade in this game. But we are looking at Dane Barron here, a defensive tackle from Miami University. And he has A power, B finesse, and B block shed. And I'm maybe looking for a cornerback here. I'm looking at Travis Miller, but I don't have enough information to draft him. Looking to see if I have any B overall players left, and doesn't look like there's any. So I end up selecting Dane Barron. I should have scouted his strength before the draft, but that A power is too enticing, and you will need a defensive tackle pretty soon. Here's his career stats. He actually had 17.5 sacks in college. Looks like he had 3 years as a starter, 61 tackles, forced 2 fumbles. That's a pretty good stat line for a defensive tackle, I think. And we'll have to see how he turns out for our team. Now we're going back to the other teams. The Eagles are on the clock again. They're going to select Andy White, the cornerback. And now on to the Titans pick. They will select Trey Mason. He was projected to go in the first round. He falls here at right end. And now the Raiders select Brandon Coe, the cornerback, with their pick. And now we're on to pick 16. The Jets select Ben Darby, a free safety. At pick 17, we have our second halfback off the board. Cedric Hogan, a running back, goes to the Broncos. And then at 18, Eddie Bowser goes to the 49ers. Then we have Paris Johnson. This is a defensive tackle from Michigan State. Finally, another player that we faced in year number 1 of the Drakes series. All the other players, I haven't been covering their colleges just because we haven't played against them. So these are all players that we didn't really cover. But now pick number 20, Stephen Graves goes to the Bengals, left end. And now with the Cowboys pick at 21, they're going to go Michael Williams, a linebacker. Texans will select J.R. Dukes, a defensive end, at 22. The Ravens with pick 23 will go Aaron Johnson, a running back. And then Nathan Oliver, a center, goes to the Saints. The Broncos with pick 25 will select Ken Leslie, a defensive end, and then the Packers, Robert Russell, a center, at pick number 26. Pick 27, the Bills will select Corey Brooks, a linebacker. Kevin Tompkins, a wide receiver, will go to the Seahawks here. And we're almost about to wrap up the end of the second round. The Panthers with pick 29 will select Braylon Weldon, a defensive end, and then Travis Miller, a cornerback, goes to the 49ers. Now we have just 2 picks left. The Bears select Hunter Nash, another linebacker. Tons of linebackers off in the first 2 rounds. And then John Latimer, the right guard, goes to the Chargers at pick number 32. So let's just fast. Bye.